I'm on a quest to read every Star Wars novel ever written, because my quest to do the same for Game of Thrones has been on hold for the last 13 years. Today we're taking a look at one of the newest novels in the Star Wars canon, and one that I liked quite a lot. I really gotta reach for it. Come on. Come on. The Living Force by John Jackson Miller. A canon novel set just a few years before The Phantom Menace, this book tells the story of the Jedi High Council trying to get back in touch with the people of the galaxy. After a stern lecture by Qui-Gon Jinn, the Council decides that they've become too isolated, spending all of their time on Coruscant in their temple or dealing with senators instead of the common people. So they decide to take a trip to an isolated planet called Quen to celebrate the 200th anniversary of a landmark event in the Jedi's history, to remind the people of the galaxy, as well as themselves, that the Jedi are still here to help. It took me so many takes to get that right, and this book is really heavy. I thought this book was great. Miller does a fantastic job balancing so many main characters for this book. After all 12 members of the Jedi High Council get a decent amount of coverage in their own storylines, as well as balancing a compelling and fun villain, and even a major supporting role for Qui-Gon Jinn and his plucky young apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sharing time between 15 characters is no easy task, but Miller manages to shine a spotlight on all of them, and I can think of moments from the book when each and every council member, and Obi-Wan too, has a nice character beat, or a chance to show off their skills, or just something that made me like them a little bit more. I like that this book showcased the sort of decay of the Jedi's presence in the galaxy as the more gradual, almost bureaucratic thing that it is. If you look at the High Republic, or even all the way back to the Old Republic, the Jedi are still the shining beacons of hope and justice in the galaxy. But then you cut ahead to The Phantom Menace, and Shmi and Watto meet a Jedi Master and are mostly unimpressed. And I like how this book presents that transition as not something malicious or dramatic, but as the simple erosion of familiarity. The Jedi have become much more centralized, focused on the future and leading the galaxy forward, but as a result, they've lost sight of the present. It's a very human failing for them to have, and I like the way that it ties in with their eventual demise, so focused on the end of the Clone Wars, on what they'll do when it's over, that they fail to see just the murky situation they're in the present. It's an idea that also ties in very well to Yoda's lessons to Luke, telling a farm boy who's always looking to the horizon and to the future to focus on the here and now. The book does focus slightly more on some council members than others. One in particular that gets a lot of attention is Depa Billaba. In particular, it details her feelings of potentially training a Padawan and whether she would feel up to the task of training a student in the future. This is of course an allusion to when she would go on to train a young Caleb Doom, who would eventually be known as Kanan Jarrus, and I do love a Rebels tie-in. Overall, I thought that this book was a bundle of fun. Well-paced, exciting, funny, I had a great time. 7 out of 10.